Hello, my beautiful warriors. I hope today is finding you well, and I hope we can find ways to make your day a little bit easier. I'm Karen France here at Good Days, and I am a fellow warrior as well. I suffer from dermatomyositis with the gamma TIF1 antibody, so it makes me nice and rare. But I tell you what, I've been dealing with this disease for over 6 years, and there are certain things that I use and do that make things easier. First of all, the biggest thing that you have to do is mourn who you once were. And that was the hardest thing for me to do. I was a go, go, go all the time. I would run, swim, walk, ride bikes, do everything. I also ran my own fine arts studio, Karen's Dance Academy, for 35 years. It wasn't until my disease really started to ramp up that I realized that I was no longer going to be able to take on that role. If you think of it, that your central nervous system is hyper aware. In fact, I ended up with extra things. I can smell. My husband laughs and says I could smell a turd 3 houses over. Seriously, I can. I can smell what people have eaten. I can smell what they've been into. And it kind of freaks people out at times. But as we lose the ability to do other things, we become better at, I guess, smelling. I'm not sure. But what I could once handle, which was a lot of noise and a lot of activity, now my system just can't. It's almost like there's too many vibrations that go through my central nervous system that break me down and throw me into hives. I'll feel like I'm having a heart attack because it's just too much. I used to be the person that would listen to music 24/7. I can't do it anymore. If I'm working, I need to have things quiet. I need to be able to focus on things. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you handle being in the sun? Can we never take a vacation again? I have to tell you, my husband and I did an anniversary trip several years ago to Antigua. My doctors had said, as long as you're careful and as long as you listen to your body, and I think that's the hardest thing for us all to do, is listen to our body. When your body tells you you're tired, this is not a tiredness that's going to be taken care of with a nap or with good sleep habits. It's just not. Our bodies are extremely exhausted, and we need to get into, in fact, I'll make sure that I write it down too so that I'll do a video on it, the spoon theory, the energy theory. You have to make sure that you have enough energy to get yourself back home safely and down. When I was going to go to Antigua, we did things like, I have cheater things that I like to use. Now, I've had the condition long enough that my skin is extremely thin. So if I were to put sunscreen on my arms, I would immediately taste it in my mouth. I can't have sunscreen lotions on my skin anymore. What I do use, and I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is Color Science. It is actually a mineral. It goes in your hair, it goes on your face. I'm probably making a lot of powder stuff. I would put this all over me along with SPF clothing. I had a real dorky swimsuit. I look like, I look challenged, let me tell you that, when we hit the beach, because I wanted to play in the sand. I wanted to do sand castles. I was just so thrilled to be alive and be able to do this. Now, we did have to make sure that we are not out in the sun and heat from 10 to 2. So we would take naps in the afternoon, and then we would go out a little bit later to where I was a little more covered. Mind you, the sun hats, the rash guards, all that kind of stuff that you wear, especially protect your neck. Now, the thing that you have to remember about UV is it doesn't just come straight down. It bounces. So you remember the people that used to hold the things underneath their chin and they would get tan under their chin. Think of that as far as the UV rays bouncing. They bounce all over. So a lot of us, of course, I had a large cancer taken off that part of my neck. We don't realize that it jumps up and bounces. Another thing that I didn't realize was when I would go into a place like Hobby Lobby or Walmart and I would think, why am I flaring so bad? And I would have lesions in my head. Well, we finally looked up. And if you've ever looked up in any of these big box stores, they've got the skylights, which is letting in all that UV, and they've got the old fluorescent lighting. The old fluorescent lighting is really bad on us. So I thought I was inside and I was being safe. I realized that my hands were flaring and my head was so itchy and I had sores in it when I got home. So now, of course, I make sure when I go somewhere, I have my coolie bar hat on that covers my neck. I have glasses on. I have, my minerals on my face, makeup, because most makeup has an SPF in it as well. But getting in a hot car will absolutely wipe me out for the day. If I go out and start a hot car, it's almost like I'm drunk. My face starts to sag and my speech starts getting slow, and it does feel like someone has drugged me. I will have to go down, and sometimes I'll go down for hours just because it took so much out of me. So you have to stay cool. I had to say goodbye to my hot tub, which I absolutely hated. I was the type of person that just loves to bake. Get in there, get a good sweat from getting so hot. I was 104 degrees. Heck yeah, and now it would send me into an itching flurry that would almost drive me crazy. So none of that. You can go out in the sun. You just have to make sure that you're prepared for it. You're hydrated, and you have enough protections, and be able to cool yourself down. I had an amazing trip to Antigua. I would love to do it again. It does take just an awful lot of rest. A couple of my other tools that I like to use, like when I'm doing a video like this, I'll do a video sometime where I don't treat my eyes, and you'll see the difference. But my doctor said that this was totally safe. This is Lumify. Bosch & Lomb makes it, and it actually takes away the redness. Now, my specialists tell me that it is a glorified, watered-down glaucoma drug is actually why it works so well, because it's going to shrink down those vessels in your eyes. I use this. I do pay for it, though. If I use it too often, it seems like I get headaches, and it might be because it's taken those vessels up and down an awful lot. But keep in mind, I do have uveitis and iritis in both eyes, so I have a lot of problems in there too. We've talked about, I think in one of my videos, I had showed you guys this Kyra ball. All it is, if I can get it open for you, all it is a cold steel ball put in a container that makes it roll. So it smooth rolls all over, and it is super cold. I put it wherever I'm itching. If I've got a place that's really bothering me, it'll also cool down my skin extremely fast, and it stays cold for quite a while too. But this is something that I just got off of Amazon. Look for cryotherapy or, freezer ball. But before that, everybody use these for beauty. These are great because you can see some of my flares coming through my makeup too. Just to keep some of the itching down. My eyelids, of course, my eyelids are purplish underneath. You'll see when we do a video without any makeup. These just kind of help. Just take some of the puffiness down. And then, of course, a giant spoon. My husband keeps trying to figure out why I put a spoon in the refrigerator. Because sometimes with the swelling, if you can just take it over your face, it feels good. I know superstars use them for wrinkles. We're so beyond wrinkles, let me tell you. Those things just kind of, I just threw them on the ground. Whoops. I'll get it later. Anyway, these are a couple of things that kind of help me. The biggest thing that I had was I had to mourn who I was. I was no longer that person. I had an athlete's body. I could out-energize anyone, and it wasn't working for me anymore. I would get so sick, and I would wear myself out. So I just want to make sure that you understand that the grieving process is real. You have to say, okay, the person that I was, I'm not that person anymore. And you have to find a new way to live. My favorite thing was being completely jam-packed with a bunch of kids in a room, and that was my heaven. And now I can't do it. My central nervous system won't allow it. Now, with one autoimmune disease, you usually get connectors on. So a lot of other things tend to join in. I have had a heart ablation. I had a failed one where they couldn't get the rhythms. And then I had another one. And at that time, they said that the heart wasn't connected, which is kind of stupid because the heart is a muscle and our disease attacks our muscles. So my heart rate would go extremely high. We're talking like 265, yeah, and then it would drop down to 40, and then it would go to 199, and then it would go back to 60. So I was doing a lot of bigeminis and tachycardia, and I was all over the place. So sometimes when I would have to go to the ER, because I was dangerously low on fluids, it's super easy for us to get dehydrated. and I have to make myself drink. The thing that's helped me a lot, because I have Sjogren's too, so I get dry mouth, and you'll find with a lot of your medications, your dry mouth gets extremely bad. So I got a Hawaiian ice shaving machine. I have to apologize to everyone because it makes this horrible noise when I turn it on. But it gives me a way to let the ice melt in my mouth and give me a little bit more moisture, make it a little easier. Because when you're in a flare, you also feel extremely full, like super full. Because think of every tendon and ligament in your body swelling up with water. That's what we do. So think of a towel. Towel's not too heavy, carried around and stuff. But when it's wet, it's extremely heavy and hard to deal with. Every ligament, tendon, muscle fiber, everything in our body swells. It's an inflammatory disease. So staying on top of that is extremely hard. If you have a lot of swelling in your legs, you need to let your doctor know right away, because that could be a heart issue or a blockage in circulation. So please don't let that go. I'd like to talk about everything on this channel, everything. We'll do some live ones that we'll do to talk about intimate things that, have worked and have not worked. My diagnosis, I do have Sjogren's, Dermatomyositis with the gamma TIF1 antibody. I have tachycardia syndrome, IBS, TMG, OMG. I have chronic fatigue. I have microvascular ischemic disease, mild, because, it also affects the vessels in our head as well. Anxiety disorder, which comes with any kind of central nervous system freak out. Iritis, uveitis, sleep apnea, GERD, reflux, hemochromatosis, which is thankfully not active right now. There's a lot. There's an awful lot. And I do take an awful lot of medications. We'll get into that in the next video. I'll do one video of just the medications that I take. And remember, these are things that work for me. You may be different. Hopefully you haven't gone through this many of the diseases that I've kind of been dealing with. I am 55 years old. At 55 years old, I still have not gone through menopause. In fact, they just did my testing on it because nobody believed me that I'm like, no, I really haven't started the change yet. And of course, the change scares me because that's weight gain. That's weight gain we can't control. I guess your numbers are supposed to be 25, 26 when you're going through menopause. Mine are 9. So if anybody needs a set of ovaries, you're welcome to them, because I don't need them anymore. It's just weird. It's a weird life, and it's an invisible disease. My husband always says, wow, nobody would ever know that you were sick, because when I would go into work or when I see people, I'm putting on the show. I've, got the makeup done and I've got the energy up, and then I get in the car and I can't breathe and I'm exhausted for several days. I was teaching very, very few classes. In fact, I had a couple that were just going to regionals and nationals, and I finished out their choreography, and it was just with 2, but it would cost me a couple of days down just because I would get excited. Now, remember, we're not supposed to get stressed. We're not supposed to get angry, but we also aren't supposed to get really excited about something, because that throws your body into this rev, and then our immune system goes completely nuclear, thinking it needs to attack everything because something's out of whack. So we're supposed to be like streamlined, keeping everything. Yeah, well, it doesn't work. So we have to find other ways. Sketching, coloring. I've been through so many things at Mayo to try to do behavioral modification, because ours is a behavioral modification issue, that we're constantly in fight or flight. I had a hip surgery. I had a labrum tear, and I don't know if you know anything. With a labrum tear, they have to dislocate your hip to work on that. Well, I was on the table and I woke up because my body believed that it was a fight or flight survival issue, so it would wake me up. Of course, then when they have to use more anesthetic to get me under, it puts me in danger with my heart rate when I come out. So surgery is no small feat for us. I do have several people that with our condition that have had to have their eyes tucked because they can't keep their eyes open. The elasticity begins to lose in your skin. Think of like a rubber band that becomes frozen. So when you try to pull it, it just pulls off. When you feel like you're pulling a muscle or tearing something, you really are. Like I can't, if I get to walking too fast, all of a sudden I'll have pulled muscles and tendons. You just have to take everything slow, and it sucks. But we're alive. You know, we're alive. I've never lost my hair. I still have my eyelashes. I'm still up and moving. I'm still alive, and I'm still enjoying life. It's just a different way now. So I hope I can help you, and I hope you know that you're not alone. We're all freaks together, and we're going to get through it. So hang with me. Hopefully, when I get brave enough to do a live channel, we can get a bunch of you warriors on. So share this with your other fellow warriors. Share it with your caregivers too. My husband is the biggest rock star that I've ever known. I mean, he has been with me from the beginning. I know a lot of people tell me that their loved ones don't believe them. It's because it is an incredibly insane, unreal world that we go into. There's no reason why I can't see today, or hey, yesterday I couldn't walk or couldn't move my hands, or I mean, I've had it to where I've actually had short-term memory loss on certain medications. I can have no pain medication at all. My body just does not respond, or it doesn't respond friendly to pain medication. Vicodin makes me extremely paranoid and sick. They don't like me to have anti-inflammatory meds because it sends my heart into weird places. It's difficult. It really is. And my husband has been my rock. He's talked me through it all. He understands that he gets all of the shit I put on the show for everybody else, and then he gets me in this puddle of nothing. So having someone that you love and trust go through this with you, take them to your doctor's appointments with you. Have them go through it so that they truly do understand. We can do this. We can do this. We're going to hope that they're going to come up with a cure for this, at least before any of our children can get it. So, you know, we're one of 200,000 cases a year, and that's it. So we're pretty rare, and the scientists are still out trying to figure out how to prevent it. Our small group is getting bigger, though, and that makes me sad. So we're going to hope that there's a game changer coming in. I did start infusions. We'll talk about that later, too. Once you go through, I think you go X, Y, Z with so many medications, and when they don't work, they jump you to something else. The infusion's been a game changer for me, big time. I'm not fighting with my body all day long. It does not stop all the flares. I have to remind my husband, he gets freaked out when I have a flare, and I say, hey, you know, it doesn't stop them, but it makes them more manageable. So I hope I can reach one person out there to make them feel better about the life that they're living. That's the only reason I'm doing this, and we can do it. I'll bring more toys next time, let you know what helps me and what doesn't. Get yourself one of those adult coloring books where you have to think about colors. The brain cannot panic while you're sketching or painting or coloring. It's a puzzles, something to where you can put your brain at having to find something. It helps a lot. It's also really good with pain management as well. And we'll talk more about that on our next video too. Help you guys out with some pain management techniques that are not drugs. Although I do recommend medical marijuana. It actually lets me take a break from the pain and go to sleep, which is key. We'll talk about that too. I'll let you know which ones I like. But you know what? Have a good day, y'all. We're warriors, one and all, and we're going to get there. Have a great day, y'all.